Warmest welcome to everybody who's listening in on this video. Welcome to the very first in what is going to be a long series of videos that will talk about the IELTS writing test. For those of you who have arrived here at the for the very first time, please don't forget to click subscribe below so that you will be duly notified when the new videos will come up because this is really going to be a prolific set of videos. I think I'll be uploading around 2 videos per week, and you learn a lot from this channel. So, like I said, we were talking about the IELTS writing test, arguably the most difficult of the writing test that anybody will have gone through. The videos will be talking about 5 essential problem-solving strategies to score a minimum band 7. I really use those terms because uh, when we say essential, what we really mean is these techniques are really the heart of IELTS writing. And of course, without the heart, then there is no way for the essay to survive or to score a band 7, so to speak. They are problem solving techniques. Problem solving is important because, as you may not have heard before, IELTS writing is really all about, particularly task 2, it's really all about solving problems as presented to you in the question prompt. So these techniques are cutting edge. What we mean by cutting edge is that they are highly effective. They are as sharp as knives, and they are also highly revelatory. Finally, for the first time, if you go through each and every one of these videos, you will see that you will finally see what you've never seen before. Strategies that are highly effective, and IELTS has been very successful in keeping these strategies from everybody for the most part. But finally, you will come to realize what these secrets are. They are also previously unheard of. I've actually, in all my years of teaching, I've actually scoured a lot of videos over YouTube, and I haven't actually seen anybody who has talked about any of these strategies. These strategies are, of course, proven. It took a number of years to develop the strategies as I've gone through my teaching career in IELTS, and we have now come to the point where we can say that we've actually uh, cracked the secrets to task 2 writing, and as evidenced by all the uh, students who have successfully breached the band 7 level. Eventually I'll be showing you some of these videos from them, and that's what I meant when I said that this channel is going to be really loaded. So uh, as you as I mentioned earlier, we will be talking about task 2 of the IELTS writing test and task 1 of the IELTS writing test. Task 2, of course, is the more weighty of the 2 tasks for the IELTS writing exam. For those of you who are new to this exam, IELTS Task 2 is a task which requires you to write an essay at a number of 250 words. So please view 50 words as something of the length of one paragraph. So for all intents and purposes, 250 words is going to be something like 5 paragraphs. Although it's important to note that there are people who can actually write just four paragraphs for task 2 and still hit the 250 words. So for that comes around to around maybe 75 words per paragraph. We'll find out later if we do the essay ourselves. You are required to write the essay under a time limit of 40 minutes, with the remaining 20 minutes, of course, being devoted to task 1, writing. We can call task 2 as argumentative writing. It really is all about positing your arguments, or positing your bullet, so to speak, in defense or against a particular opinion. So, as differentiated from task 1, which is merely what we can call as descriptive writing. So for task 2 writing, there are styles. For this particular video, being the very first video that you will have ever encountered, we will be talking about the A1 style. And for the next video, we will be discussing, of course, the A2 style. A styles are actually argumentative techniques that we use for one-sided question prompts. We'll discuss that later. I'm sure a question has already popped in your head. B styles, on the other hand, are argumentative techniques that we use for what we call as crossover question prompts. So from the very word itself, crossover means that the question prompt contains two sides of an issue. And as regards to one-sided, we can discern that these styles are really for question prompts that only explicitly mention one side of an issue. If you notice, the A2 style is applicable for crossover as well as it is applicable for one-sided question prompts. And there will be the B1, B2, and B3 style that will follow after that. Following all of these, we will now have the C style. So a C style is actually what we call a hybrid. It's really a combination of the A and the B styles. So with all of these, you now can see that the lesson follows a progression, and it's very important to uh, learn the lessons as they come out, because we cannot possibly talk about the B styles, for example, unless you have fully understood or mastered the A styles. So let's try to see how it works on paper. What we have here is a question prompt, and this question prompt is clearly one-sided, so it conforms with the A style. I saw this question prompt over the net, and it's really interesting. Some people say that teachers should be paid according to how much their students learn, and to what extent do you agree or disagree? All right, so once confronted by a question prompt like this, of course, the very first thing that I'll need to do is to create bullets or arguments. It's really one-sided, because some people say that teachers should be paid according to how much their students learn. This is only the opinion of a certain group of people. So there are people, of course, who would likely disagree with this. So, however, it's not really stated in the question prompt, so we can actually just ignore the opinions of other people. But if the question prompt had something like others, on the other hand, feel that teachers should be paid their due salary regardless of how their students perform in class. This added sentence I had already clearly reflects the opinions of the opposing side of the issue, so that makes it a crossover question prompt, wherein from one side of the issue, stating the opinion of some people, it the question prompt suddenly crosses over to the other side of the issue, and thereby making it clearly a crossover. But since we did not have this additional sentence, then we are clearly dealing with a one-sided question prompt, and so the A style now applies. If I were to have been confronted by this question prompt in the actual test, then I know that I should now remember the cardinal rule for one-sided propositions. So if the writer agrees with a one-sided proposition, let me underline that word agrees, then the writer may just choose to posit a number of arguments in defense of one's agreement. However, if the writer disagrees with a one-sided proposition, then he or she should not forget to kill the arguments of the agree side. So more or less, you're getting an idea as to how the styles look like. If the writer agrees with a one-sided proposition, this is now the A1 style. But if the writer disagrees with a one-sided proposition, then the writer should now apply the A2 style. So for this video, we're talking about the A1 style. So let's see how it works. Again, if I were confronted with this question prompt in the actual exam, then uh, before writing the essay, I will make sure that I will have to create my outline for the essay. So we are now in the bulleting stage. Maximum 5 minutes for this one. So in the bulleting stage, you're merely creating an outline for your essay and you're not writing the essay proper. So let's have some bullets as well there. So structurally, of course, we will begin the essay with the introduction, and then what follows that will be your first body paragraph. So since we are in agreement with the question prompt, then maybe we can say that this proposal will help ensure right methodologies in teaching. So remember, this is just the bulleting stage, so we can actually just write something like help ensure right methodologies, and you will already get an idea as to what the content of that paragraph is going to look like. And maybe we can also argue that the proposal will ensure that only the most deserving teachers will stand in front of a classroom. It's a long sentence, so maybe we can, since we are only in the bulleting stage, and then maybe you can just write only deserving teachers, and then you'll get an idea as to what the rest of that paragraph is going to look like. Perhaps one more argument would do. Altogether, maybe we can say this would help improve education overall. So again, we can just underline these, and we already have a general idea of how that paragraph is going to look like, and then after which we can now conclude the essay. Alright, that's the bulleting stage of 5 minutes. So of course it only took us less than 5 minutes, but please do not extend 5 minutes, because remember, you have only 40 minutes for this. So with 5 minutes having invested for the outline or the bulleting stage, then you have 35 minutes left. So let's create the essay itself. So we are now in the writing proper, and then again let's place the bullets. I am reminded that I only have 35 minutes left. So for the introduction and the conclusion, we will be discussing these in a separate video, because that's quite a lengthy discussion as they are. Wait, let's just fix the look of the, let's just isolate all the arguments in one frame. All right. So since I see I already had my bullets, then I can begin my paragraph by using the very bullet that I used, that I formulated during the planning stage. So maybe we can say to begin with, applying this proposal would help ensure the creation of the right methodologies in teaching. There. That is now what we call the topic sentence. And as is the rule for argumentative writing, every topic sentence should now be followed up by supporting arguments. So maybe we can say that mm, if teachers would realize that they would only get their due pay when their students have been proven to perform well in class, then this would inevitably force them to formulate the best methodologies that would ensure learning for all. Okay, maybe you can say otherwise, if teachers would be paid regardless of student results, then teachers would invariably mm, procrastinate maybe on coming up with the best teaching methodologies. So that is my first body paragraph. As you can see, what I just typed are the supporting arguments in support of the topic sentence over here. Let's see how long that runs. That's We are supposed to log like 50 words per paragraph, but what we've written here is actually already, as you can see on the bottom left over there, that's already 79 paragraphs. So we're doing well. Right, and now we're going to the second argument, referring to the most deserving teachers. Let's have the marker to signal to the reader that we're moving on to another argument. So maybe apart from this, mm, only the most deserving teachers would invariably end up in this noble profession. There. Again, that's your topic sentence. And then requiring, this now requires some due explanation or expansion. So maybe we can say that uh, as everybody has experienced in their education, there are indeed some teachers who merely go through the motions of their profession. If this proposal were to be implemented, only teachers who most actively work on their teaching skills would survive the cut, so to speak, and less skilled instructors would naturally seek other mm, alternative professions instead. Okay, I think we're doing well. We're running really fast, and let me emphasize the reason why, because we actually did bullet the essay at the very start. So if we invested 5 minutes for the bulleting stage, then you can see that actually it help speed up your essay. That's really the irony of bulleting. A lot of people say that bulleting or uh, creating the outline for your essay is a waste of time. It's actually not. It actually helps improve time because you actually already know what you're gonna be writing about. So I think we just went through these two paragraphs in a span of like 10 minutes or something. But we're still not yet done. Let's now go to the third bullet about helping improve education overall. But before we proceed, let's just see how many words we typed for that particular paragraph. So that's 71 words, and then the first one was at around 79 words. So we're already at 150 words, I believe. Yeah, that's more than half of our target of 250 words, and we still have one paragraph to go through. And now we're going to the third bullet. This would help improve education overall. There. So altogether, on a national scale, this proposal would redound to the improvements. Maybe have an adjective for that. The visible improvements of education on a nationwide scale. This being said, the results would certainly be gleaned in the fact that only the most skilled educators would be standing in front of the youth of today, and ultimately, there comma, this would result. Mm, let's use another word because I already used result earlier. This would come up. This would be felt on a global, on a national level, where the students of today would end up having received the best education possible, henceforth producing fully mm, creating fully productive citizens for the future. All right, so let's just fit all of this in one frame. There, let's just scroll that downwards. So for all intents and purposes, that's your essay. Let's see how many words this third paragraph logged at. So 79, another 79 words. So we're actually already 150 earlier with these two paragraphs combined, and then let's have 79 as an addition. So that's already 129 words, and so we still have I mean 229 words. I'm sorry. We still have the introduction to write and concluding paragraph to write. I'm sure we're gonna breach the 250 word count requirement. So that's your essay. All of these arguments actually agree with the question prompt and thereby conclude by saying that the proposal should be applied. Teachers should only be paid based on how much their students learn. So that's the A1 style. So we're about to end the video. Just before I leave, just like to remind that the A1 style is actually, shall we call, the most intuitive of all the styles, the five styles that we will be talking about. Intuitive means it is something that we actually know. We we're very familiar with it. It fits with our intuition. So, like for example, if I were to ask any ordinary person on the street right now about an opinion on something, on a controversy about the national situation, this person is gonna answer one-sidedly, and that's really what we are. That's really what people have already, so to speak. But since everything that's complex has to begin from something basic, the A1 style is indeed the most fundamental of all the styles. And we cannot actually proceed with the discussion of the A2 style or the B1, B2, B3 styles or the C style without going through the motions of setting the foundation. So, um, please remember that it is your intuition on how a one-sided argument goes. It is this intuition that will serve to equip you to understand the more complicated, higher level argumentative styles that you will be encountering soon in the next videos. So please do not forget to subscribe, because the what you will be learning are something, like I mentioned earlier, are things that you have never learned anywhere, and they are proven strategies for the IELTS, the difficult IELTS Task 2 writing test. That being said, I hope to see you in the next video. And if there are any questions, please just feel free to posit your questions below, and I will respond as soon as time permits. So thank you everybody for listening in, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.